Where in your business are you paying taxes that you don't need to pay? You know, as a CPA, one of the things I say, the fun tax is the IRS tax, right? Your federal tax, your state tax, simply because you made money. The more money you make, the more taxes you get to pay. And when the higher the taxes, the more you know, wow, I must have made a lot more money this year than I did last year. That's the fun tax. But there's another tax that women coaches like to impose on themselves. One that the IRS is not asking them to pay. The one that they are putting on themselves because they are afraid to show up is the fear of tax. The fear of being seen, the fear of being judged, the fear of charging the value of the work that they do. And yeah, you and I, nobody shows up and says, oh, I don't want to be seen today. We just don't show up on the Zoom call until we put all the makeup on, so we're 20 minutes late out of integrity with ourselves. Or we don't do the marketing, the messaging we're here to do on a Facebook Live or the LinkedIn Live or whatever it is, YouTube Live, whatever, because you know what? We didn't have makeup on today. We have a fear of being judged. What if Susie from Alabama says something about us? What if Jackie from Virginia says, oh my gosh, you suck? What if Mimi from Washington, D.C. says, you should go put some makeup on? Who the hell do you think you are, charging 100K? And then we have the fear of charging the value of our work, but we don't wake up saying that. Wake up saying, you know, I want to be affordable. I work with everyone. I don't want to leave anyone behind. So we take the 250K offer and we stuff it into some 5K, 10K, or 15K offer, and we say, well, at least I'm affordable. God didn't ask you to be affordable. God is your co-creator. God created you in his image, which means God is constantly creating through you, okay? And it means that your words, your thoughts create worlds. It means that the work you're here to do for your client or with your clients matters because that outcome, that result is specifically for them. And you're not showing up to do it or showing up to be who God says you are because you're out there putting taxes on yourself, tax of stress, tax of anxiety, tax of sitting on some income plateau for the next 30 years so you don't get to sow into God's kingdom. What are you here to sow into God's kingdom? Yeah, you're making 7 figures, maybe you're making multiple 6 figures, but the thing that God has called you to do is actually calling you to create 8 figures because that's the work in that assignment, not just in your coaching business, but the overall assignment for the world, the hole you're here to fill in the world. That takes maybe the 8 figures for the work in God's kingdom, whatever that is for you, whatever it is God is calling you to do. So why are you paying taxes that you're not here to pay? Why don't you just show up and sell the offer that you're here to do? High-ticket coaching clients, they don't want coaches who are trying to fix them. They don't want coaches who believe they're broken and want to fix the pain, some imaginary pain. They don't want a coach who's afraid to be seen or afraid to raise her prices because, you know, when they see a coach who's doing that, they think if she's afraid to be seen, if she's afraid to raise her prices, if she can't show up for herself and charge the value of her work to feed her children and her husband or herself or her family, how is she going to hold my big dream? She's going to think it's too heavy, too big for me, and she's going to try to shrink it so she gets fast and easy results, so she can get a testimonial. And then go on Stripe and say, I made 7 figures, here's my testimonial, yay for me. No, that is not it. One of the ways that I see women create tax for themselves is by trying to overcome objections and 10 times follow-up. Here's the invitation that I have for you as a child of the Most High God. Take the objection tax off the table. Take the follow-up tax off the table and remember who you are. When you remember who you are, you see yourself clearly for the first time. When you see yourself clearly for the first time, you midwife the gifts that God has given you. In 1 Corinthians 2, God tells you the spiritual resources. He has given you spiritual resources. In Proverbs, God tells you that those gifts bring you before great men. Those gifts create the high-ticket coaching offer. Women say to me all the time, Mimi, how do I sell high-ticket coaching? Do you have a high-ticket coaching offer? Well, no, I'm waiting to create one. You know where to get the playbook to create, right? Go to momsinsales.com or christianmomsinsales.com and download the high-ticket coaching offer playbook if you don't have one. But that's beside the point. If you don't have a high-ticket coaching offer, you can't sell high-ticket coaching. If you don't have high-ticket coaching, a high-ticket coaching package or offer, you can't create messaging that works for you because your messaging is still aligned to the offer that you're selling right now. And you're stuck in that low-ticket bubble. So whatever you say is not going to be heard by the high-ticket clients, the premium clients who want the exponential results. You're going to keep attracting people who want you to fix their pain. And then you're going to get stuck in pain and urgency marketing because, oh my God, you're such pain. I'm going to dig into it. No. That is a window. The pain marketing, the urgency, the scarcity, that's a window. The low-ticket thing, that's a window. And I'm only talking to women who have been called to sell high-ticket coaching offer. If you've been called to sell low-ticket, go girl, go all in on your low ticket. If you know that God is calling you to say hi to get there, this is for you. It's an invitation to see yourself and say, why am I still trying to get my butt through that window when God has opened the door? What is the door? The window is overcoming objections in a sales conversation to somebody who does not want the 150K offer because they have a pain to fix and it's 10K. And you're trying to sell them, turn lead into gold, drag them, nurture them, convince them, pull them up. No. Your partners, you and your high school coaching offer partners, you co-create together. You're not fixing her. She doesn't need you. She can do the thing on her own. Her parenting, her relationship, her marriage, her business, her health, her life coaching. She can do it on her own. She doesn't need you. Okay? So here's the thing. How do you talk to clients like that who don't need you so you can stop paying tax? You create the offer. You midwife the offer with the gifts God has given you. Not with your coach's gifts, not with my gifts, not with her gifts. Your gifts. Your gifts bring you before great men, not your coach, you. And then you create the offer, get the playbook, create the offer that's tied to your prosperous womb for your particular client. And then the messaging is where it counts. Because when you see yourself the way God sees you for the first time, if you don't see yourself the way God sees you, you're never going to create messaging that works. You're going to create messaging that plays to somebody's ego so they don't stop liking you, or so that you don't upset them, or you don't rock the boat, or you don't polarize. No, if people don't like you, you're out of integrity. You're out of integrity. So this is the thing. You create a messaging that supports that offer. Messaging that is unfiltered, that allows the client to feel seen, feel heard, feel valued. Like, oh my God, how does she know that's me? You recognize her because God gave you that message for her. It's unfiltered. You didn't edit it to make it sound good. You didn't edit it to make yourself sound like an expert or sound smart. They don't care about you being an expert. They just want the thing that God has for them. And they recognize it when they see it. And if you're hiding it, they're not going to see it. So go through the open door with messaging that supports them to see you and say yes to the offer. Then they get to raise their hands and say yes to the offer. They get to raise their hands and ask you how to work with them. They ask, how can I work with you? They raise their hands and ask you for the sale. They read your email. They email you back and go, oh my gosh, how can I get in? Is the office still open? They DM you. They hear your podcast, they park the car. They're driving from DC to New York. It's 5 hours or 4 hours. They park the car and they cry and they go, I've been listening to her since I left DC. I'm in New York. Everything she said, like everything is like me. She's talking to me. This is me. It's obviously she's talking to me. How does she even know me? She's in my head. These are the conversations I've been having with Abby and Regina and Jackie. How does she know? Well, she knows because she knows what's important to you. She knows what you care about. She knows what you value the most. You know what? She knows what is most useful to you for that parenting, for that weight loss, for that marriage rehab, for that divorce, for that 7 figure month. She knows what's important to you. That's why you resonate with what she's saying. You be that coach. Everything is a window, and God has closed the windows. God keeps closing the windows, and coaches keep coming to me and saying, yeah, I'm trying to sell this offer, but it's not selling because you're trying to overcome objections. That's a window. You're trying to sell this offer, it's not selling because you're trying to do follow-ups. That's a window, and God is opening the door. Go through the door and close the damn window. Let the windows go. God is making it easy. Stop making life challenging. You're valuable, you're worthy. I'm not trying to preach to you. You're a grown woman, so you know this. I'm trying to remind you of who God says you are. Let me know how that lands for you.